Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha Gunatito Aksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamah Jano Janannidam Satyam Muchyate Bhavabandhanat Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitir Matir Mama Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. We are continuing our exploration of the multiple approaches taken throughout the world, but specifically in what is known as Sanatana Dharma or Hinduism, with regards to the realization of higher consciousness. We can use the term Atma, Paramatma, God, Bhagwan, Ishwar, Allah, whatever name, Sat Shri Akal, as the Sikh tradition says, any name you want to use. Whatever the names may be, the reality is only one, and it is absolute. It may be expressed in different ways, but the truth is not two different things. Our great rishis have discovered and have stated, Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one. It is known and illustrated in countless ways. So on that basis, the different yogas have been examined on a daily basis. We have been focusing on Bhakti Yoga because that is something that is of paramount importance to everybody, whether it is somebody just starting out in this world as a new child, and just being brought up in this child, born in this child, all the way to somebody who is nearly a Siddha. Everybody needs Bhakti, A to Z. And so in my opinion, and in the opinion of many sages, including the Advaitic teachers, Bhakti is needed, as I mentioned on several occasions about the purification process, etc. So on that basis, we're going to go forward now from where we were last time. I just wanted to do a quick rollback with regards to the 8 limbs of yoga, known as the Ashtanga Yoga. So if you remember, sometimes that is part of like the Raja Yoga or even Hatha Yoga, but really it depends how it's classified. The Ashtanga means 8 limbs, and we have been talking about that in the very beginning stage. We talked about the Yoga Sutras, which we will get back to, and then connect them with the Bhakti ideas. So the 8 limbs that are there are this Yam, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. So in a real sense, if you have been following all of the satsangs up to this point, pure bhakti, undifferentiated pure love, jumps the consciousness straight into dharana and dhyan. 6 and 7, it's like a bypass. These other very difficult processes, particularly these asana stage, pranayama stage, yes, to some extent they can be done. Just even regular exercise and just regular body movements and those things probably would be enough. Because the power of bhakti begins really at dharana and dhyan. When there is conviction intellectually of God, faith in God, relying on God as the adhar, one who has an anchor in God. All of that, plus the 9 forms of devotion, the movement of energy within, as we have been talking about, it all actually has the power of jumping the energy or taking our internal consciousness and placing it into the dhyana state, dharana and dhyan. Dharana means what? Is to hold the object of contemplation within you. And we do this all the time. When we worry about somebody, we're doing a form of dharana. When we're attached to somebody and think of them over again, that is a type of dharana. When we are even fearful of our own, of some fear going on, that is also a type of dharana. Now, of course, Patanjali didn't put it that way. I'm just putting it that way just to illustrate the point that we can hold on to certain things that we feel are important or we feel that are active within us. So anyway, I just wanted to quickly mention that point because this is mentioned in Vachanamrutam in the Garada Pratham section number 25, this Ashtanga Yoga and the Bhakti Yoga. So Maharaj in that he's the one who stated this, and this is where I heard about this the first time, that it is actually possible to have Chitta Vritti Nirodha, the control of the mind, the integration of the mind through pure devotion, and that is a more direct way than the Ashtanga Yoga process, which Maharaj himself had gone into, so many others have gone into. And I do want to mention this, there are people who go into these asanas and different pranayamas and they get stuck somewhere here, between 3, 4 and 5. And if a person gets stuck in this without the presence of a guru who is present to help the individual move further, then there's problems that can potentially happen, as I mentioned before. So this particular sadhana of Ashtanga Yoga, there are things we can take from there, but to really do it exactly the way it is prescribed, you have to have an enlightened guru who is a master of that Ashtanga Yoga to guide you through the process. This is not to be practiced without the presence of an enlightened yogi who is fully in the enlightened state of realization, who has traveled the path of Ashtanga Yoga. Yes, we can do some yogasana, no problem. We follow some good niyams and some good rules in life, no problem. We do some alternate nostrils. Some things here and there, to some extent, is no big deal. It's perfectly okay. But there are some people who are very, very intent upon following this by themselves. And yes, if they even get beyond the first and the second stage of Yama Niyam, then these translations are not adequate. Yama has 6 portions within it. There's so many things to follow just in the first 2 stages. And then if you get to the asana stage and start doing the asanas and start getting established, you're going to have awakening. And you will not know what to do with that. So that is the difficulty in this. That's why bhakti is essential. Even if somebody is doing Ashtanga Yoga, my recommendation would be to do that as a secondary thing to bhakti. Bhakti should be predominant. If bhakti is predominant, all of this sadhana can be as a support, and there won't be a problem then. So anyway, that's that. Because as I said, I have come across stories and even some people who've had some really, they're just stuck actually in between. They can't go up and they can't come down. So we don't want that to happen. Just to keep in mind, remember, this state of samadhi, this is what we're looking for. Believe it or not, we can choose, as I mentioned before on many occasions, to choose to declare to ourselves that I am already enlightened. We can start at samadhi. And this might sound pretty crazy to say this. Even many gurus may not agree on this point, except for maybe J. Krishnamurti. But he doesn't use that language. But we can say that, yes, I am already enlightened. So then every action, every thought, everything is just done from there. Is it possible to do this? Yes. In my mind, this is absolutely unequivocally possible. You don't need to go through all the torture of all the sadhana. No, it's not needed at all. We can start with the Vedantic expression, I am the Brahman. Nijatmanam Brahmarupam. I am enlightened. Every moment I'm enlightened. Then if that's the case, how am I talking to people? How am I seeing? What am I? The knowledge, the deep conviction that I'm enlightened will automatically bring about, by the grace of the Paramatma, and just a small prayer would be required to God to please just keep me in that, that wisdom will automatically awaken. I would guarantee that would happen. Only thing is required somebody to try it. See, the problem is we don't want to do this. The reason we don't want to do this is because our ego doesn't want really enlightenment. Our Atma wants enlightenment, but not the ego. Ego wants to stay within the chaos of this sansar and within the chaos generated by the mind. Otherwise, all that is required is one step enlightenment. The ego simply has to be put on this side and say, leave it aside. I am enlightened. Tattvam asi. That's why Upanishad is using Mahavakya. 6 Mahavakyas are there. Thou art that. Tattvam asi. Ayam Atma Brahma. I am the infinite consciousness. Second Mahavakya. Third Mahavakya. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is consciousness, Brahman everywhere, the vast. Soham, I am that. Not this limited being, but that infinite being. I am the Akshara Brahma. I am the infinite consciousness. And Pragnananam Brahma. See this point. Pragna means wisdom, not Jnana. So that wisdom will automatically begin to awake once we declare that I am enlightened. Rather than trying to get to enlightenment, make a declaration in the present, in the moment, in the present time, that I am enlightened. That I is not an ego statement. It is a statement of identity that I am resonating with enlightenment and I am enlightenment. Just like someone who is wanting to become let's say, a neurosurgeon, and the person is only in 8th grade, 8th or 9th grade in high school, 9th grade in high school, and he wants nothing else. So he says, I am a neurosurgeon. Now, is he actually a neurosurgeon yet? No. But there's so much connection with that. He's studying the brain and studying the parts and studying surgery. He's studying things that people might study in medical school because he's just constantly absorbed in what he's wanting, he or she. So then what happens? Excellence happens rapidly. Set the goal. What is the goal? Dheyo Narayano Harihi. As we mentioned maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, Bhagwan Vedvyas, who is the originator of all of these scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita. This is actually verse number 28 from chapter 6. We'll talk about this today. What did he say? He's saying this, not any other even Acharya. I mean, other Acharyas have said also, and common being is not, that's a whole different matter. Vedvyas Ji, who is an incarnation of Bhagwan Narayan, according to our tradition, and who we adore and honor during the Guru Purnima day, what has he stated? He said, Alodya Sarva Shastrani Vicharya Cha Punah Punah Idam Ekam Sunishpannam Dheyo Narayano Harihi. That after going through thousands and thousands and thousands of the oceanic scriptures, I have come to the conviction that the only goal of life is Bhagwan Narayana, is God. Dheyo, set the goal. Now, once you set the goal, we can take one more step and go into enlightenment right away. That is, resonate with all the true gurus, that's who I am, and I'm living inside God. Living inside God. Not simply doing this back and forth bhakti and back and forth connections and disconnection and connection and disconnection. No. That is the difference between a ego-driven sadhana versus a love-infused sadhana. Ego-driven sadhana, Sachin says, okay, I will worship God, I will do some bhakti, I will do some seva. On some special days, I will, go to the temple and maybe do some special havan, do some puja. Okay, that's all okay, nothing wrong with any of that. But hold on. That is a very limited thing. It's a good place to begin. But how many days, how many years will we just be in the beginning stage and keep going in cycles? And keep going in those negative thought loops and harmful thought loops and negative self-talk and ruminations and internal biases and all that mess that is. How long that will remain? How that can be solved by any sadhana? Yes, Navada Bhakti is tremendous and we have to, we can do it as a sadhana. But again, if the ego is doing that, yes, I am doing this sadhana because I want to get somewhere, this is a mistake. Navada Bhakti which we have been talking about. Hold on one second. Let me go back here. Just a second. The Navda Bhakti is this. This is a slide from yesterday. This is not to be done with the sense that I am doing this. As soon as the I comes in, that I am listening to the scriptures, I am doing so much sadhana, I am doing the seva of God, I am the devotee of God, I. Get rid of that I. Change the language. Not that I am doing kirtan. Kirtan is being done within the body and the mind. Get the word I out of the picture. If we, even using the word I internally, brings about the ego current. Sometimes functionally we have to do that because of the language restrictions. But that's it. But the problem is this, that let's say, for example, just take my own case right now. Sachin is doing the satsang daily, and then after it's done, a thought could come, oh, I did this satsang. Finish. The whole spiritual effect of the 1 hour of sadhana, bhajan, kirtan, mantra, contemplation, it becomes zero. Just with one fragment of a thought. That is the danger that one has to recognize. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnuhu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Arachanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma, Nivedanam. These 9 forms of devotion, there is no place for the individualized ego in this, except for the only exception would be to say that the I is given over to God, that this I belongs to the Paramatma. It doesn't belong, I'm not, me and my desires and my limited crazy thinking and all that. That isn't what I'm hanging on to anymore. It's one step realization, one step enlightenment. This is, in my mind, over the last 30 years, pulling all these pieces together. There is no need to go through a protracted, extended process of just back and forth pulling of energy and getting all mixed up within. It's not necessary. We can proclaim that I am enlightened. I am the Brahman, and the I has been given over to the Paramatma. Jnana and Bhakti come together. It's one step enlightenment in the present, in the day. Well, if that's the case, what does that day look like? So, that's where this shlok comes. Hold on one second. That's where this amazing shlok of chapter 6 comes into play, of Bhagavad Gita. And this is how it is pronounced. I'm going to play it here. Just 1 second here. Hold on. Now you see the beauty of this. This is really some... Oh, wait a minute. That thing keeps playing automatically. There we go. This is an extraordinary verse. This is chapter 6, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 28. If we are saying that, yes, I am enlightened, I start with that. Stay in that. The intelligence awakens. What ought to be done awakens. Now look at this verse. He says here, Sri Krishna Bhagavan is saying here, Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha sukhena brahma sansparsham atyanta sukham ashnute. Atyanta sukha. Atyanta sukha. Again, the word sukha is used, but we can understand that as ananda. That as one begins to encounter the Brahman, when you are encountering the consciousness, ananda, it's just mind and brain is opening up. J. Krishnamurti's language is awakening of the non-mechanical parts of the mind. Srimad Bhagavatam language, 10th Bhakti, Gopika Bhakti. Another way to think about it is Siddha Bhakti. Another way to think about it is that the experiential realization of Ananda. It is not a dry realization. And this is possible now, not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow. Who has seen tomorrow? Nobody has seen tomorrow. The only reality is now. So how can enlightenment be later on? Enlightenment is never later on. Enlightenment is only now. And in the experience we have while we're awake, while we're dreaming, while we're in deep sleep, and the state beyond the entanglement of the three Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, that is called Turiya Avastha. That even if you are in Turiya Avastha, there is still Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptis, waking, dream, and deep sleep are going to maintain. But they maintain without any disturbance where there is this atyanta sukham ashnute. There is this realization of this bubbling and ever-flowing joy. Like the Niagara Falls. Constantly the water is flowing. Millions of gallons of water is flowing every second. The great yogi who is freed from the kalmashaha, you see, yogi vigata kalmashaha. Gone away are the problems of the mind. Gone away is negative self-talk. Gone away are cognitive biases. Gone away is unnecessary rumination. Vigata. See, yogi. Again the word yogi. See that we were talking about yoga. He's yogi is one who is in connection. He's trying to connect. He or she is trying to connect. Yoga is the process of connection. And one who is inside the connection, it is the existence itself. That is the yogi. Yogi, see again this word is used here. Yogi vigata kalmashaha. Right here. Yogi vigata kalmashaha. Vigata kalmashaha means permanently gone from the mind. Permanently gone from the system. The poison is gone. What is that poison? Raga, Dvesha, Aham, Mamatva, the doshas, the Shadripu, we've talked about it already, is gone. We don't want that. That's not who we are. So if those six ripus, Shadripu, are not who we are, and they have actually departed. How they have departed? The first part of this verse explains it. Yunjan evam sadatmanam. That continuously is within yoga. Now again the word discipline is used here, thus constantly disciplining himself. There are two ways to understand the word discipline. One is this more methodical, procedural way of getting established in a discipline of practice. Yes, beautiful. That's fine. But there is a back door. There is a natural discipline that is not process oriented, that is not based on taking in so many different steps. A path. It is the pathless path that Krishnamurti is talking about. And that door is available for every human being if we can recognize that door and just go into it. If we go into it, we'll never come into ignorance. Impossible. There's no possibility of coming back into ignorance, because this state, yunjan means practicing and yoking. You're in that. You're not even practicing it anymore. You're actually in it. Yunjam evam sadatmanam. It's like this, People are, again, using a financial example, it's easy to understand. People work at different jobs and all that kind of thing and get some paycheck and all. But if you have like $100 million in your bank account, where's the issue of working somewhere and working for $30,000, $40,000 a year? All that thing disappears. That is sadhana. But when you realize that your internal power is completely in an enlightened state, you are the bhakta, the yogi, the sadhaka is no longer doing sadhana. That individual, that being has been totally freed from within. So my contention, and I'm using the word my in quotation, I don't mean to like it's about me, but the contention here is that there is a backdoor approach via negativa, as J. Krishnamurti has mentioned. The backdoor approach is start with the intense belief that I am enlightened. It's a belief, no doubt. It is a belief, but that belief is so powerful that nothing else can come inside there. That is called Atmanishta. And even Sajanand Swami Maharaj, who is known as Sri Swaminarayan, and even if you look at all the other gurus, Paramahansa Yogananda and Yukteswar Maharaj, if you look through all their teachings, you will see this stream of thinking in all of them. Ramana Maharishi, you just name it, self-inquiry. They have shown sadhana. But how many people are doing sadhana? Millions. Why isn't everybody enlightened? Because they're delaying it. We're pushing enlightenment away all the time. This will happen later. This will happen later. No. Bring it now. I am there. And by bringing it now, automatically the transformation occurs. Oh, this thought is coming in this direction. We are aware of it. Gone. The self-mastery that we're talking about happens in the present when we start with the intense holding on to that belief or to that reality that I am a fully enlightened being. Atyantam atyanta sukham ashnute. I am in that. So the experience is that the mind and its blockages, the blockages within the mind begin to dissipate. They happen rapidly. It is the path without a path. But this is not understood by most people. We are always thinking about realizing God later. And that is also not wrong. That's true when we don't bring the reality now. If we bring the reality now, then where is the issue of getting out of enlightenment? Getting out of realization? No, you are there. There is just love everywhere. See what the beliefs feel like. There's love everywhere. There's everything we see through the opening of the Gnan Chakshu. We're seeing through that. If we decide to see through that, we will see through that. But then we also recognize, oh, mind has got some confusion here. That's not me. That confused mind is not me. I am Sadguru. Sadguru is within me, or that state of Sadguru is not a person. We think of these people, these different gurus, and those are just the beginning things, and we're so absorbed in all the different sampradayas and different things and God knows what, and then all the chaos that is created because of it. Sadguru means, it's a two word, Sat Guru, and that Satguru is none other than your mind. The outside guru, whoever the outside guru may be, if you can see the divinity of the outside guru, then that divinity of the outside guru is resonating with the mind. So mind resonates completely with the divinity of the guru. So the division is gone. And that's what he is talking about in verse. That's what Sri Krishna Bhagavan is talking about this directly. If you look at this thing very carefully, if you look at this verse very carefully, see this third part of this, Sukhena Brahma Sansparsham. Sukhena Brahma Sansparsham. Encountering, touching the reality. He's not talking about believing the reality, not talking about an endless process of years and years and lifetimes and lifetimes. No. Who wants that? Who wants to be in the prison of ignorance for millions of lifetimes? No. We can choose in the moment, right now. This is the time. And with that choice, with that decision, with that realization, each day that moves, what happens in that each day that moves? Now I'm going to show you something interesting here. Hold on one second. Each day that moves, the indriyas and the antakarana get naturally stabilized. So with things like vairagya, the right type of understanding, the right type of use of the senses and all of that comes into play. And that's what this question is about in Vachanamrut Garada Ante number 11. That the question is about how to win over or how to control the senses in the mind. Well, you don't need to worry about controlling in the senses and the mind if you are completely in a state of realization that I am an enlightened being. Then the senses and the mind are naturally controlled, where, this is in Gujarati over here, it says here, Vairagya, Swadharma, Tap, Niyam. These are four sadhan he has shown. But they don't become sadhan, they become natural. And indriya, and that is the way that the indriyas are won over, meaning that they stabilize. And then he says that in Gujarati, this bold statement is like this: Vairagya, Swadharma, Tap and Niyam, e char sadhane karine indriyo jitai chhe, ane Bhagwanni Mahatmya sahit je navda bhakti tene karine man jitai chhe. He's saying that the 9 forms of devotion, which we've been talking about, that allows you to win over the mind. And then to win over the senses, the 5 sense organs and the 5 action organs, Vairagya, Swadharma, Tap and Niyam, that happens. But all of this is 9 forms of devotion plus this internal resetting of the sense organs happens automatically if we decide to choose that I am in the Brahmic consciousness. And once we make that choice, we decide also not to come out of that. What may. Come anything that may. Doesn't matter what may come. The whole Brahman might break apart, or somebody might be praised, or weighed in gold, or weighed in platinum, or thrown dust and dirt and everything on. It wouldn't make any difference at all. Because when you're in the Brahmic consciousness, what difference does it make what anybody says about you or thinks about you? Or nothing makes any difference. Because you are in the vast, infinite realization. Small things don't touch that person. Not for even half a second, not for even a millisecond. That is the actual enlightened state. And that is the glory of the 9 forms of devotion. That is the glory of overcoming the 6 enemies. It is the glory of things like what Gunatitananda Swami mentioned about what good to find within the whole sense of the realm of the doshas. That they're an opportunity to move ahead, as we mentioned before. And that is the way out of the rebirth with the body again. If the body is born again, and then you again thirst, hunger, grief, delusion. Who wants this thing? Why anybody wants to be reborn? This is all that's going to come. So the Sanatana Dharma has been developed by the rishis specifically to stop rebirth. Punarjanmana vidyate. That rebirth is the problem. We may go to Svarga or Naraka, this up and down, all things are described. Being born again and again, again and again, again and again. Suffering again and again, being tormented by the pangs of ignorance. Who wants that? When you realize, I don't want any of that. We live in this world, we live above it, like the lotus flower in the mud, lotus flower in the water. The water is the sansar. We're rooted in the sansar. We're not disliking or hating the sansar. Sansar is like that. That's the nature of the sansar. But it exists so we can evolve out, actually. And the evolution is by an intense declaration, I am the Brahman. Nijatmanam Brahmarupam. In Shikshapatri, Sajanand Swami Maharaj, verse number 116, I said, Nijatmanam Brahmarupam. Deha Traya Vilakshanam. In that part of the verse, there's 2 parts to the verse. In that part of the verse, which I'll put on the screen later on sometime, all of Vedanta is encapsulated in that. Nijatmanam Brahmarupam Deha Traya Vilakshanam Vibhavitena Kartavya Bhakti Krishnasya Sarvada. In that Brahmic consciousness, don't forget devotion. Keep devotion alive. All the time. Don't let devotion be damaged. If devotion is damaged, the ego will, the dormant ego, the ego that is wanting all the crazy things that it wants, it will become active and misinterpret Vedanta, and the ego will take over into Aham Brahmasmi. Wrong. Mistake. Massive mistake. To prevent that from happening, keep bhakti all the time alive. Alright, so now on that basis, this very, very powerful statement from J. Krishnamurti, I'll bring this back into the picture here. Very, very nice. I hope you can see this. An intelligent mind acts in the field of thought intelligently. This is what happens when in an enlightened state. This sentence, as I told you, has been in my contemplation for years and years. This is the description of the enlightened state. I'm going to read the whole thing. An intelligent mind acts in the field of thought intelligently, sanely, without resistance. There's no resistance left. It's clear. All the energies are just flowing in the most beautiful way. The mind is free from the structure and implications of attachment. All the harmful attachments are gone. From the action of attachment, because when the attachment is there, the activity done from attachment is going to bind the person and disturb and distort everything. And the individual is not pursuing power with all of its implications. It's free from the pursuit of power. We're trying to pursue power externally when we do not recognize that we are that power. Where's the issue of pursuing it? Now you see what happens here. It's from the pursuit of power with all its complications. Obviously, look at the world. People are just pursuing power in different ways. How much mixed up they get in that. Complications occur. And then the person becomes ruthless. That's what happens. That a person like Hitler and all those other dictators and others are like that who we don't know. Ruthlessness comes. That's the ego that has gotten this thing. How terrible that is. You see? So the intelligent mind then sees the dividing process of thought clearly. You can perceive how thought is creating all these divisions. Clearly that is perceived, and because of that perception and having seen that clearly, and the word Krishnamurti is using is totally. He's seen it completely, not partially. The contention is we can stay in this now. We can see totally. Why not see totally? Why not? We can choose to see totally. And when we choose to see things totally, automatically there is energy. Now why is this so hard? How can this be hard? This is not hard. The ignorance is hard. You see, so this may seem like, oh, how is this possible? It's nothing difficult about any of this. It's just that we don't want to do it because our ego doesn't want to do this actually. That's all it is. So it sees totally. And in that total vision, tremendous power is there because you are an enlightened being. And that energy is intelligence. That intelligence is buddhi, mind in a way, is awakened beautifully because the energy is just flowing. It's clear. And day to day, the enlightenment is dynamic. It's not like, okay, I've reached some stage and now I'm just, okay, now what? Now I'm bored. What is the big deal about enlightenment? People say, okay, well, if I get to enlightenment, life will be boring. It'll be dull. No, it's not like that. It is a life that is dynamically growing and evolving every single day, further. Enlightenment is not a static state where one is just stuck somewhere. That's not what it is. So now, having that energy, that internal power is now grown, having that same intelligence, it can operate in the field of thought and not the other way around. This last sentence is the most interesting one in this. And that's where enlightenment really comes into play, that if I say that I am enlightened, Tattvamasi Ayam Atma Brahma, Pragnananam Brahma, that's who I am, then that same power, intelligence, acts upon thought. Oh, the thought is going interpreter, immediately it acts right there. So this is going in this, you can see it. Oh, this is raga. Oh, this is dvesha. There's some jealousy here. There's some leakage of energy. That's mastery. That mastery is available to us anytime, as the moment we begin to really resonate with this. Now, in all the last 2 to 2.5 weeks, I have not spoken perhaps as directly as this. But somehow today that feeling is there to let's just run with it. This is direct. And is it difficult to know? But it does require patience. It does require a bit of contemplation. And it requires a decision to say, I am not an ignorant, limited, foolish person trapped in this sansara. I am that pure consciousness. And one of the ways of doing that, take all of the enlightened gurus and resonate and bring them inside. Don't keep them outside. Take Ramana Maharishi, take Ramakrishna Paramahansa, take Vivekananda Swami, take Sahajananda Swami, take Paramahansa Yogananda, take whoever you want, Jesus. You take anybody you want. Swami Ram Tirth. You just name it. Whoever has come. Everybody, Ved Vyasji, bring them inside. That's who I am. That's me. Their state of realization is me. And in that state of realization, when this last sentence he's saying that Krishna Buddha is saying that having that energy, that intelligence operates in the field of thought, not the other way. That operation of that intelligence is the flowing of love, where the bhakti, I'm just adding this now to this point, that the bhakti, devotion to God, can occur from this state. And this is something that Sajanand Swami has talked about also. He has talked about it in the sense that when you reach the Brahmic consciousness, you are still in a state of devotion. So that is meaning what, you're still performing activity, but that activity is a Brahmic activity. It is an activity from the enlightened, fully awakened state. Devotion is performed. So even if you say the name of Rama, Om Shri Ramachandraya Namaha, from the enlightened state, it has infinite resonance, rather than just saying it through the confusions of the mind. Anyway, that's that. I don't know what made me say all that, but I said it all. So for whatever it is, there we go. So let's stop here for a moment.